Okay, today is we're going to have a discussion on what to eat, when, why, how, and I'll give you some tips on supporting nourishment, supporting digestion. If you apply what we talk about today, you will save a lot of money. You'll save a lot of time, and you'll have improved health. All of the above, and that's been proven over and over. This discussion is simple. It's basic. It's down to earth, practical. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of anatomy and physiology, just to give you kind of an overview of what we're talking about. When we eat, one of the questions is why? Why do we eat? There are a lot of reasons. Lots of time you eat because you're in a social environment and you're expected to eat. And many times you eat just because you're hungry and you're craving something. You're craving. And most people who have a craving are craving things that are not good for them. Usually that's the case. Rarely do you ever crave something that is really, really good for you. Now, I'm going to back up and say that again, a different way. If your body is healthy, you will crave things you need. The things that your body knows you need. Wild animals in the prairie, in the forest, in the jungle, innately crave natural foods that have been created by God to help them solve problems. And they're guided to them. We are the same. If we're healthy and focused on keeping our temple clean, magnifying our God-given talents, then we'll be guided toward those things that are more nourishing for us, not stimulating, nourishing. I'll make a few statements today that are simple but true. I would like you to draw two Q's, a big Q and a small Q. The big Q stands for quality. The little Q stands for quantity. That's what we want. We want more quality and less quantity. So the statement, less is more, applies. The body is very, very efficient and requires very little food to accomplish many, many things. For example, if you look in physiology textbooks about calorie consumption, they have charts. If you walk a mile, you run a mile, you swim for half an hour, you do a step, whatever you do, a lot of different kinds of activities. And then it will have out to another column, calories consumed during that activity. Now, keep in mind, if you look at those charts, those are not absolute. We're not all the same. There's a lot of differences, but that gives you an idea. For example, if you were to walk a mile briskly, you may burn in 15 minutes 100 calories. And you could sit down at a table for dessert and have a donut that has 350 calories.
I don't like that math.
So one of the things I would like to see is safety is this. if you're interested in keeping the body clean and not having extra weight, it's easier to not eat it than try to burn it off. Much easier. Now, back to anatomy. Each of us have a stomach that fits right here under the rib cage, more on the left side. The liver's over on the right side, so they kind of balance each other. It's kind of shaped, not a circle, it's shaped like a flask, the old flask that they carry gunpowder in, kind of like that. Thin at the top, gets wide and expands at the bottom. A lot of folks think that the stomach has in it hydrochloric acid, and you just throw food in it and it dissolves it. That's not true. The stomach is divided into basically 3 compartments, upper, medium, and lower. And the body mixes food and enhances the digestion process to break the foods down, to prepare them to go into the small intestine. Now, it's a general rule. I'd like you to think of your stomach as about the same size of your fist. Now, I know for a fact all of you can eat more food than that. If you eat properly and stop eating when the stomach is full and the food contains ripe enzymes that are active, the stomach has to do much less work. If you eat things in season, more on the ripe, raw, fresh in season, rather than preserved, canned, cooked, bottled, whatever, that have been processed, the enzymes that God put in the food help break them down. Now you can prove this on your own if you want to take a banana, an apple, a pear, any kind of fruit, and dent it. What will happen?
Turns brown.
It turns brown.
Starts to deteriorate.
Yeah, it starts, what it does is it starts to digest itself because you have activated the enzymes. Now in the food industry, currently, they like to pick things before they're ripe, so that when they bang them together, the enzymes aren't active yet. That's why they can beat them around and they don't break down. But once they get ripe, they break down very fast. And it's because of the, again, God-given enzymes that are in the food. If you eat your food more like that, it costs you less and less to digest it. Now, you can all eat a green apple, you can all eat a green banana, they're not ripe yet. When you do, you put them in your stomach. Now, in order for your body to get any good out of them, your body has to work harder and make more juices to, like hydrochloric acid, to break them down. Hydrochloric acid in the stomach is only made on demand. It's made only when it's absolutely needed, usually from too much volume. So if you eat enough to expand the stomach so that it's large, now the stomach knows it can't do the work naturally and needs to have extra power to break it down. And hydrochloric acid is very expensive. The body has to draw chemicals out of the blood to put it together. And it only makes the minimum amount if possible. Maybe it can't make them because it don't have good blood. But if it can, it will make it help break the food down to prepare it to go into the small intestine where you start to absorb the nutrients. Now, the question often is asked, When does digestion begin? When and where? The real answer is, excuse me, the real answer is it develops when you're cooking and you can smell it.
Oh.
If you're in the other room sitting and you can smell it, you already, your body's preparing for you to eat it. Then when you put it in the mouth and you start to chew it, in the mouth you have saliva that mixes with the food to begin the breakdown process with enzymes. You have multiple types of enzymes in the mouth to start to break down food. It may surprise you, but the body can secrete up to 1.5 liters of saliva every 24 hours. That's a lot of saliva. You even secrete it when you're sleeping. Some. Now, some of you wake up with dry mouth. That's an indication that you may not be secreting it because your body can't make it, because you don't have enough building materials to make it. Now, I want to make a comment about enzymes so you understand what they do. Enzymes are specialized chemicals. An enzyme does something. It's active. It's like, you think of Pac-Man, the little Pac-Man things that go around, they're looking for things. But they're very specialized. They only do certain things. So when I think of enzymes, I think of cleaning ladies. If I called up Molly Maids and said, I would like to have my house cleaned, could you send some cleaning ladies? The little car would pull up, one comes in with a vacuum, she does carpet only. One does windows only. One wipes off counters, all that, that's what they do. So enzymes have different jobs. So when you look at the digestion and you look on the back, or if you go to the health food store and you want to buy an enzyme of some kind, you're looking for the ending of the word ASE.
Enzyme?
ASE. That means it's an enzyme.
Like lipase,
Protease.
protease. Yeah.
Lipase does fat. Protease does general protein. Amylase does sugars. And if you ever buy it, if you ever go shopping for an enzyme other than this one, make sure they have many different enzymes in them. Some people drink milk and they don't do well with milk. If you like to drink milk and it gives you gas, it's because you did not metabolize the composition of the milk. And that's lactase. Lactase. That's what you need to do to digest milk. So that starts the digestive process. Now, there were a couple of PhDs in Nebraska that did some studies years ago to answer the question, what controls the apostat? The part of your body that tells you you've had enough. And they did a lot of research for a couple of years, and when they finally got it all done, they ended up with the thing that mostly controls when you're satisfied is time. Totally shocking. It's time. And they recommend for a person to be healthy that they take 20 minutes. That was again the time that was most effective for most people to eat the appropriate amount of food. Now, that creates a lot of problems. When our son Andy went to the Air Force Academy, when they marched into the mess hall, they had 12 minutes to eat and go. Now, in 12 minutes, the body doesn't think it's had enough food, regardless of quantity. Now we create a big problem because he can eat a lot of food. He played on the football team, and he had a friend who also played. He was a big tackle, and he said, "You just power through it. You know, you shove it down and go." Well, there was very non-health producing. They develop a lot of problems when you do that. When I take history on people who come see me, I generally ask, do you eat 3 times a day? Guess what kind of answers I get?
Yes.
Really?
Rarely.
Really?
Rarely.
Really? Most people eat 2 or 5. They graze all day, which is one of the worst things you could possibly do. The cows do that. Human bodies don't do that. The human body likes to have food put in, slow, mixed with saliva, small amount, and then wants to process it. It wants to break it down, put it in small intestine, absorb, move it on into the large intestine, empty out the stomach, clean it out, prepare it for the next meal. Just like you do in the kitchen when you fix a meal, you clean it up, you fix it again, you clean it up. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't do it that way. That's what my wife does that, and I help her. We clean it up, so we start afresh. The body likes to do that, and then if you eat your evening meal, should be the smallest meal of the day. And it should be small so that during the night you can heal, dream, recover, regenerate. When you wake up in the morning, you're hungry. You're looking for food. Lots of times when I ask people about breakfast, they say, I'm not hungry in the morning. Well, I tell them we can fix that tonight. Nobody eats supper. Tomorrow morning, I guarantee you'll be hungry. You'll be looking for breakfast. Now, breakfast happens to be the most important meal of the day. I'm going to draw a big M. I would like you to think of the M. More fat, more protein. Less sugar, more fat, more protein. Big M. It's the most important meal of the day. If you eat properly, and I'm going to give you a recipe today for a concept. I don't want you to try to duplicate exactly the recipe, but the concept is what I want you to grab onto. The concept is to get a lot of different kinds of protein, a lot of different kinds of fat early in the day. One of the reasons people don't like to fix breakfast is because it takes a long time. If you cook the typical kind of breakfast you get if you go to Perkins or one of the breakfast stores, it takes a long time to cook all of that kind of food. And then you have a big cleanup. If you do it the way I teach you, it's simple, easy, and quick. It won't take you long to prepare or to clean up. But how long should you take eating?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. 20 minutes. Start to finish. Now, even if you have only a small amount. And sometimes that becomes hard. So another thing I recommend to you to do is when you put your utensil in your mouth and take it out, clean it off, lay it down and let go of it until you have properly chewed the food that you put in your mouth. Now the Chinese say you chew your liquids and you drink your solids. To drink a solid, you have to chew to get it pulverized and mixed with Thailand. Now it's all liquid, and then you swallow it. If you eat in something like soup, it's a liquid. You don't just dump it in and let it go down. You keep it in your mouth long enough that it has an opportunity to mix with the saliva. Why less sugar? Less sugar because sugar burns fast. A lot of people have a fruit smoothie for breakfast. A lot of sugar. Even though fruit sugar is good, it's not what they need in the morning. They need slow burning fuel that will last a long time. And that's fat and protein. They need a little bit of sugar, but not very much. Fat takes a long time to burn. Protein takes a little less time to burn. And if we measure the quantity, we have 1 cubic centimeter of each. Fat contains 9 calories, protein contains 5, and sugar or carbohydrate contains 4. So you can eat less food and get more calories. Now, why do you want calories? You want calories for power. You want calories for energy. You want calories so that you don't get tired in the day because you burned out all the carbohydrates. We used to do a lot of camping. We used to like to start a fire with gasoline. Boom. But that doesn't burn very long. That's like sugar. Then we put kindling on it. That's like protein. That burns longer. We like to make coals so we can cook tenfold dinner. Sometimes we would use coal. We get a lump of coal. Now coal is hard to start, but once it burns, you can put a lump of coal on when you go to bed. And it'll burn up. It'll keep the fire going all night long. That's more like fat. Do you have any questions about what I said? Okay, now the concept for breakfast is a wide variety of similar items like seeds, nuts. So I'm going to pass out to you a handout that shows Dr. Smith's famous breakfast cereal. Now, again, I'm not promoting the cereal per se, but I am recommending the concept. This is a sample. This sample right here, the little bag, has that instruction sheet in it that has enough food in that bag to last you for 2 weeks for breakfast every day. I'll very quickly tell you how to do it. I'll tell you what I do anyway. I have what I call the mother container. The mother container contains a lot of different items. If I go shopping and see something else I'd like to add to my cereal, I put it in here. Shake it up. This is the one I use every night. This is made up of, it came from there. This is always changing because as time passes, I add new things, so the breakfast cereal is always in transition. A lot of people tell me, oh, I eat oatmeal. See, people have even offended me by saying, I eat your oatmeal. That's not oatmeal. It has oatmeal in it, but not very much. So this is what I do. I took 2 of these, put in here in that bowl. I then add some olive oil. How much? Just the right amount. I add salt. How much? Just the right amount. Then I'm going to put this under hot water. I'm going to fill a bowl up so it covers about that high. And I'm going to put that on my counter. I do that when I go to bed. Now, how long did that take me? Less than 2 minutes. It's ready to go. Sometimes I pour apple cider vinegar in it to help activate the breakdown of the grains and the nuts. When morning time comes, I'm getting ready. I come out, I take this, I put it a little warmer. We have a little toaster oven, put it in the warmer. Set it on 20 minutes on about 200, 210, and go away. When they come back, it's hot. I have hot cereal. Now, you can add a lot of other things if you like. For example, last night I thought I'd like a little more fat. I'll add a little more flavor. So I took a tablespoon of butter and put it in there last night when I put the hot water in. Sometimes I put a small handful of raisins, chopped dates, whatever you want. That's on. This gives you the idea. So it's morning time. I heat it up. Come out. I sit down. If I have cream, whipping cream in the fridge, I'll pour a little bit of whipping cream on it, and that's breakfast. Now that's all it is. That's about the size of my fist. How long did it take to eat that, do you think?
20 minutes.
20 minutes? Yep. Have a clock in my kitchen. I eat slow, I listen to stuff, lay my utensil down between bites, and that, I usually eat my breakfast in the morning about 7 or right around there. I never get hungry before noon with that. I've done that for a long time. Now, I add other things to it also. One of the things I add is this protein powder. I take like 2/3 of a scoop of the protein. Sometimes I take about a half or more scoop of the superfood. I put it in the cereal. Sometimes I add the vanilla, the other one I have. Sometimes I add the fruit and vegetable. I add them to this too. So you can add other things if you like to give taste, variety, and nurturing. Now, I know by talking to people, checking people's what they tell me, I probably have more nutritional input each morning than a lot of them get in the whole day. It's quick, easy, and done. So that's breakfast. Now,
Can I say something about that real quick?
sure.
My son, he's 6'4", 200 pounds. Sometimes I give him that cereal in the morning and he is not hungry until 1 o'clock. So it's not like it works for everybody to keep you full all morning long. It's always surprising to him that not very much food kept him full that long.
And it keeps you from cooking bacon and eggs and
Smell it at my
oranges,
house.
all stuff. Okay, now, lunch. I drew the letter S. I recommend for lunch, we have a salad or soup. That's what the S stands for. Soup or salad. Why? We need to get our greens. We talk about the alkaloids in the body. the thing that alkalizes the body better than anything is greens. Now when I say green, I don't mean lettuce. Lettuce is green, I know, but lettuce is on the bottom of the green list. You want more solid vegetables. And soup, you can make soup, any kind of vegetable soup. Today for lunch we had chicken vegetable soup that my wife made that has celery and carrots and potatoes and I don't know what else. It had a lot of stuff in it. And that's the idea. Medium amount. Breakfast, you should eat like a king. Lunch, you should eat like a prince. Supper, oh dear. Popper. Supper, I'm going to draw half a plate. I recommend, that's the letter C. I recommend you cut your supper in half. Whatever you eat now, split it or cut it in half. Eat less. Your body will thank you for it. And if you're still hungry at bedtime, I recommend popcorn with a lot of sea salt and butter, or crackers and cheese, or chocolate ice cream. The best kind.
What kind?
Chocolate.
Chocolate ice
Chocolate
cream?
ice cream. If the first ingredient is cream, look at the container. If its first ingredient is sugar, don't ever buy ice cream that has the first ingredient sugar. You want the first ingredient cream. Why chocolate? Chocolate is high in fat. How much? Not this bowl. That's way too big.
Half a bowl.
Pardon?
Half a bowl.
About, yeah, half of that would be plenty.
So is there any particular brands that have the cream first?
Tillamook.
Tillamook?
Tillamook. That's it. We like Tillamook the most because almost all their flavors have cream as the first ingredient. And the best place to buy Tillamook is a Winco. Albertsons, Rome's, they all sell it, but Winco's even less.
So you can eat these right before you go to bed or a while before you go to bed?
Yep, small amount. If you have trouble with the size, buy little ice cream cones and take one scoop.
Oh, that's a challenge.
What's the milk store over here? The milk store.
Reed's Dairy.
Reed's Dairy. Sometimes my wife will say, let's go buy an ice cream cone. We buy a kitty cone.
Oh.
Always.
Oh.
One scoop on a kitty cone. Okay. Now, on with the digestion. If you do like I mentioned to you during the night, the gut, GI tract will process the food, move it on down into the large intestine, give the small intestine time to clean out, and if they've had a antibiotic at any time, or you're fighting something, you take the Flora Plus, then during the night your small intestine multiplies the friendly flora, you reproduce. If you have a healthy small intestine, you should have about 3 pounds of live organisms in the small intestine to help you digest the food, just like the saliva. The friendly flora helps break the food down. And then it moves on into the large intestine, and some of the nutrients are reabsorbed in the large intestine. We want the large intestine to be clean. If you have problems with having good, steady elimination, OptiGI is one of the best products I've ever seen used to help nurture the tissue in the small and large intestine. It helps you get more regular and cleaner. You want to be clean in the morning. And if you still have problems, you can add the total teeth detox. And if you have liver lines underneath your tongue and you know your liver's toxic, then you do coffee enema. And that helps clean the liver.
What was the name of that last bottle you showed?
OptiGI. OptiGI. It's a very good product for nurturing the tissue in the GI tract. It's not a laxative, but it has a cleansing effect because it helps strengthen the tissue to become more able to do its job. Now, if you're behind and you got sluggish, and you have the liver lines underneath the tongue that we talk about, then I recommend you do the coffee enema often enough to you get it cleaned out. Personally, I like to start it every day clean, with it all clean out, the liver, the colon, and then nurture it with good food and not overload it. We talk a lot and hear a lot about the GMO and the foods that have been modified. They're bad. Those that have been modified. However, that's not a surprise to God. He knew it's all going to happen. He made the body so it can deal with a lot of different kinds of, I say semi-toxic foods that are abnormal. In my opinion, the biggest problem with nutrition, generally speaking, is not quality but quantity. Too much. And if you get too much bad, then you've compounded the problem of just bad food. Now, if you think about primitive societies around the world, there are several billion people who live on very poor food substances that you and I probably would never eat. And they live on them. They have a lot less disease than we do because, again, God designed their bodies to eat a wide variety and survive even only with a small amount of food. Okay, so I'm going to pass our test around, which we'll talk further about some of the answers. Do any of you have any questions what we have said so far? I want to repeat again what I said at the beginning. If you follow the general concept that I'm sharing with you today, number one, you will spend less money on groceries. You will spend less time cooking. You will spend less time cleaning. And you'll spend less time sick. You have more energy and you'll last longer. I know the world's going. Some of you might be not excited about staying around, but it's going to be okay. Okay, number one, true or false? The less variety of foods per meal, the greater the absorption. True. They did a study in Chicago in in the prisons over a couple of years, and they proved that when given a choice of foods, like a buffet for the prisoners, they ate less food, less variety, and when that happened, they had less fights, they had less sickness, they had more learning capacity. That's a very true statement. Now, if you went to typical school, you learned about the food pyramid. And the major industries like dairy and beef and soybeans, and they all got their part of their triangle to market their product. I recommend you forget the pyramids, because over the course of my life, they keep changing it, depending on who has the most money. Okay? Number 2, when the GI system is compromised, it is best to consume smaller meals more often. True. Some of the sickest people I have, I recommend they eat 5 times a day. One item. They put a little bit in, let the body process it, put another little bit in. Now, a little bit doesn't mean 3 pieces of bacon. Okay, it might mean a scoop of protein powder and a little bit of water, warm water. If you're sick or weak or tired, eat less food. Number 3, like a cow, humans can safely graze throughout the day and expect good digestion. Totally false. They are different. 4, when seasonal, natural occurring food enzymes are not present. Let me read that again. Naturally occurring food enzymes are not present. It is advantageous to support the digestion by taking complex digestive enzymes with your meals. That's true. If you have to eat food that does not have enzymes, whether you overcook it or it's not quite ripe, then I recommend digesting enzymes as a safety measure. Number 5, choose. Ideal meals include A, gathering with family and friendly conversation. Yes. B, consuming only about the volume equal to the size of your fist. Yes. Chewing food long enough to properly saturate the food with saliva. True. Yes. Allow about 20 meals start to finish, regardless of meal size. Yes, all those. Choose them all. They're all good. I had one fellow in Colorado Springs I worked with who complained about not having enough time in the morning to have a 20-minute breakfast. So I asked him one day, how long does it take you to drive to work? He said, 20 minutes, about. Okay, well, let's fix that. Make your, whatever you're gonna make, you can make this and put in a mug, you can sip it. And from when you pull out of the driveway to pull in your office, you just sip, you sip, you sip. It changed his life. He got a really good breakfast on his way to work. Now, I don't recommend that, but it worked for him. He had no other choice. Number 6, hard to do but good practices to lay down your eating utensil between each bite and to stop eating when satisfied rather than full. If you're full, you ate too much. Now, most of us came from the generation that said there were starving kids in China.
That's right.
So you eat your food. I used to say, how about we just send the food to China and let them eat it.
I tried that once and it didn't go across very well.
It only took one time, huh?
The reason is because he did it right in front of our children. We were trying to teach to eat.
Okay, now this one you're gonna have to think. How strongly do you agree? 0 to 10. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day and should contain more fats, oils, less sugar, carbohydrate, more protein. That's a 10.
Yeah.
Lunch is best when an abundance of green vegetables are used. 10. Supper is cut in half with less variety should say variety and less volume. Yes. When selecting snacks, fat and protein trump sugar and salt. Remember that line. Fat and protein trump sugar and salt. Now a lot of people snack on salted chips of some kind. Very common. If you go to the gas station, there are rows and rows and rows of salted snacks. Sugar on one side, salt on the other side. Okay, now here's a tough one. Choose oils for cooking, 0 to 10. To save time, I'm going to give you my opinion. On a scale of 0 to 10. Nut oils, like walnut, peanut, almond, that's a 10. By the way, walnuts are rancid less than walnut oil less than other oils. Along that line of rancid oils won't make you sick. Rancid oils taste bad. Why did they go rancid? Heat, oxygen, light, all make oils go bad. Margarine, that's a 2 or a 1. I remember the time when margarine came out. You got a lot of marketing for butter replacement. That's one of the worst things you can do. Don't use margarine. Ghee, that's the oil off the top of butter. If you want to warm up butter and let the oil flow to the top, that's a very good thing to use for cooking. Rice bran oil, that's pretty good. Now, corn oil.
So was ghee 10?
Pardon?
Was ghee a 10 too?
I put ghee as 9, I'm sorry. These are my numbers, based on what I know. Corn oil, 3. That's most of the Western oil, you know, the hydrogenated, put on yourself, leave for 9 years, hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. It's one of the worst things you can possibly put into you because it's been changed. It's not really what it should be. Sunflower oil, I put 8. Butter, I put a 9. Probably should have put a 10. Soybean oil. Soybean oil happens to be the #1 oil in the world. I gave it a 3. Why? Because soybeans have a estrogen-like property that messes with the gender of people. So a lot of the reason I mentioned before, estrogen-like products are one of the worst poisons in the world today that are changing the attraction of males to males, not only humans, but also fish, reindeer, all animal life. It's estrogen-like products are contaminated in the world, and soybeans are one of them. It's cheap, it's easy, it's worldwide, it's very bad. Coconut oil, I give it a 10. Sesame oil, a 9. Canola oil, I give a 3. Avocado oil, it's 8 or 9. Palm oil, 7. Grapeseed oil, 2. It's not good. Olive oil, a 9. Lard and tallow, 3. Now, one of the deals with oils are they're used differently in different parts of the world. Like some of these are used like rice bran oil and palm oil They use it more in other countries. Different countries have kind of their favorite oils. So some of them we don't find, we don't see often. If we do, it's expensive. So I give you my opinion of what I think they should be.
Why was the olive oil a 9?
Olive oil is very good.
Okay.
Not a 10.
But it wasn't a 10. Oh, ask.
You could put a 10. I almost put a 10. I use a lot of olive oil. We use a lot of olive oil. We think it's good. You want to buy fresh olive oil. Most of the oils will last anywhere from a year to a year and a half. So when you go to Costco or Winkles, wherever you buy your oil, if you can see the date that it was processed, you want to buy the newest you can find. We went to Gilbert, Arizona a few years ago and went on a tour through an olive grove, and they made all kinds of oils. And they showed us how to identify the virgin oil. You want it's cold pressed. The fresher the better. Sorry about that, Denise. You can whip me later.
So the greener it is, right?
Yes.
Yes. And that hydrogenated oil, that's like Crisco. So next week when you're making your pies, try using coconut oil.
Oh, you said that, I believe.
I use that in my
episode.
cookies now. It looks really good.
Yes.
Coconut oil.
Yep.
Coconut got a 10. Number 9, essential oils. There are many different brands. And the word essential is marketing ploy. There's nothing essential about the oils they sell, like doTERRA and some of the others. Can be considered safe to take internally. That's partially true. Don't take them internally until you are sure that the one you take is safe. Because a lot of them aren't. And some of them you can use essential oil and cook it, but you'll never take it straight. It needs to be mixed with something else. I looked on doTERRA's site. doTERRA they claim they have 37 oils that can be used internally, but I couldn't find out which ones they are. So I couldn't tell you because I couldn't find out. Number 10, cleansing both the liver and the large bowel, aid in nutritional assimilation. That's true. Number 11, extra water with meals can have both a positive and negative effect. True. Let me explain. Let's suppose you sit down to a meal and you're eating and you get thirsty. It's a signal from your brain you're probably eating wrong. You probably ate something that has too much salt, too much sugar, it's been overcooked, so your gut needs a little bit of help. The statement, the solution to pollution is dilution. Remember that phrase. The solution to pollution is dilution. And God designed the earth so most toxins can be diluted with water. So if you crave water when you're eating, my recommendation is you sip. I recommend that you sip. Do like the Chinese. Buy a cup that has no handles on it. Put hot water in it. When you need to drink with a meal, if you can pick up the cup safely without burning your hands, it's cool enough to drink. It's still warm, but not, it might be hot, but if you can pick it up, you can drink it. In America, we put handles on the cups so we can drink boiling water or tea or coffee, whatever, with no handles. Now, negative effect. If you do too much, with it. Now you've destroyed the process that your stomach started to get the nutrition value. When they say that, I think of a time we went out to eat with my oldest daughter, and she had a three-year-old son. We went to a rib place, and she ordered a large Pepsi, like one of the biggies. He drank it all. I said, you are trying to kill him, aren't you? She said, yeah, but I don't want people to know.
You aren't the oldest.
I'm
either.
number 5.
The good news is he lived, but he's not healthy. Number 12, offering a prayer of thanksgiving for food is proven to increase the nutritional value. Now, when I read that in a book one time, I thought that really interests me. So I read the research they did, and they did blood tests, they monitored people over a long period of time, and we've always offered prayer. I had to smile because I had a Lutheran friend who was sacrilegious. He called himself a CE Lutheran, Christmas and Easter. He would say, rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub, yeah, God.
Oh.
That was his prayer. That was his prayer. That's not what this prayer means. Okay, any questions as we come to an end here?
So I'm sure what you're saying is milk's probably not very good for us to drink milk.
Humans are the only animal as adults who drink milk. Most humans lose the ability to digest efficiently lactose. Not all. I was raised on a dairy farm, so I probably get a little advantage for that.
I was 2, so I can have a little leeway there.
Your body will tell you, sometimes again, it's not what it is like the milk, it's the quantity. I recommend if you are a milk drinker and you have faith and trust, buy raw milk and drink small amounts. I'm a very big proponent to cream.
Why? Because of the fat?
Because of the fat. Because of the fat. If you have a friend who has a dairy and you can buy from them cream or raw milk to get it, you can trust it.
Do you know what place around here where you can?
Yeah, but I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
She has one cow.
There's a place in, I think it's in either Rigby or Manan, and they just sell fresh milk.
I used to see a sign on the freeway coming from Rexford, but I don't see it anymore. So I don't know whether I'm missing it or whether they're not.
It's also either Guernsey or Jersey cows,
That's what you want.
which has a lot more cream in the milk. And it's excellent milk.
It was in Rigby. They used to have it at, what was that little country store?
Man wearing cheese.
Yes.
Man wearing
Man
cheese
Mary.
downtown,
Yeah.
downtown Idaho Falls.
Mhm.
They have raw milk there as well.
Oh, is there one of those in
Reed's
town?
Dairy
Yeah, it's
also
right.
has it.
It's right by the Museum of Idaho.
We're very fortunate in Idaho, we can buy raw milk. In Colorado, the only way you could get raw milk was buy a percent of the cow.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.